Letitia Anthony and her 14-year-old son, Anthony Johnson, are suing store owner Sue Shin and 18-year-old clerk Paulette Orozco for piercing Anthony's nose without her permission.
Quiet in the car. Hey, oh.
Okay. Let him do his thing. Yeah.
Your Honor, this is case number 459 on the calendar in the matter of Anthony versus Orozco Shin.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Young man, take your hands out your pocket, will you?
This belongs to a friend. He's visiting. I thought you would like to see her. Is she sweet? Miss Anthony, this is your son?
Yes.
It is your claim, Miss Anthony, that the defendants owe you a whole lot of money because one of their employees pierced your son's nose without your permission.
Correct.
And you are how old, sir?
14.
You have a place in the mall?
Yes.
And you know that you're not permitted to pierce anyone who's a minor without parental permission?
Yes.
Who did the piercing? That would
I
be
did.
you. How old are you?
18.
18. How long have you been working at the store?
About 5-6 months.
Did you start to work there when you were 17?
Yes.
Are you related to the owners?
Just employee there.
How did you get the job?
One of her friends that works there recommended me because I used to work with her.
What special training do you have to be a piercer?
Not any.
Nothing?
No.
Well, who taught you how to do it?
She did.
You mean you don't need any special training?
Basically what we do is pierce ears and sometimes nose.
Do you have a license for piercing?
I don't think we need a license, no.
What else do you pierce other than ears and noses?
Only two.
Only ears
ear
and noses?
Yes.
Why don't you pierce any other parts of the body?
Oh, that's against the law, that's what I know. Because that belongs to body piercing, we're not doing ear piercing.
Well, your ears are part of your body and your nose is part of your body. Last I looked. Who are you?
I'm her son. Yeah. So the piercings that we do, it only requires a gun. So we don't do the ones where you need a long needle. So only the nose and the ears are capable with a gun.
I could think of some other places where you could use a gun.
You can, yeah, technically you can, but it's
But
not,
I've
it's
heard
not
about
very
it.
safe.
Okay, sit down. Okay, here are the facts that we know. Your son, who was 14,
Yes.
speak up,
Yes.
went to their shop and lied to them, right? You lied.
No.
Well, sure you did, because they knew you were underage, and you kept telling them that your mother gave you permission.
No.
What?
No.
You mean you just walked in there and she pierced your nose?
Yes.
Is that right?
Nope.
No, I don't believe that for a minute. I don't believe that for a minute, young man. Who did you see when you walked in?
The young lady right there.
And what did you say to her?
Do you pierce noses here?
And what did she say to you?
Yes. I asked her how much is it. She said $5. So I got it done. And then I left.
And?
And I went home and my mom got mad.
Okay. Bird, do me a favor. This baby wants to go back inside. Would you take the baby inside? Don't hurt the baby.
You know how much I love dogs. Come on.
There's a soft side of him. Okay. Let's get... You mean this young lady didn't say to you, how old are you?
No, not at all.
Did you ask him how old he was?
Yes, I did.
And what did he say?
He was 13.
And what did you say to him?
That he needed a parent or a guardian that was responsible for the piercing.
And what did he say to you?
He said that she was buying some other stuff around where we work, around the mall.
Put your hand down, Miss Anthony. And what did you say to him?
I told him that I needed to see the mom and make sure that she was responsible for the piercing. So he left and he came back. And he said, like, it's fine. And he brought the money. And I'm like, okay. And I told him, I need your mom. He said, she's around here. She said it was okay that you could do it. So I went ahead and pierced the nose. And then he left. And by the time, well, at the end, I didn't see the mom.
Okay. Did you know that wasn't the right thing to do?
Yes.
So why did you do it?
I thought the mom was there.
Well, that was clearly the wrong thing to do.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
Okay. Step up here. Show me where you had your nose pierced.
Here.
Turn around.
I have pictures.
I don't need any pictures. I see his nose.
Sorry.
I don't see anything. Show me where.
I took it out.
Well, I know you took it out, so I don't see it anymore.
It was on the left-hand side.
Well, it's all gone, right?
Yes.
Your mother made you take it out,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Did she get very angry with you?
Yes.
What'd she do?
Take it out.
And you took it out.
Yes.
Step back. Now, Miss Anthony, the employee did the wrong thing.
Yes.
Why do you think that's worth $5,000?
Well,
Explain that to me.
I mean, She had no right piercing. I didn't give her permission to do anything.
Agreed.
You don't understand what I'm saying?
I
But,
agree. Just a second. I understand English, and I understand your statement that you didn't give permission.
Right.
Right. You have a 14-year-old boy and an 18-year-old employee, and he goes in there knowing full well that he doesn't have your permission, full well that he doesn't have your permission to have his nose pierced. So he did the wrong thing, and they did the wrong thing. My question to you is, he has no mark on his nose. He wasn't injured in any way. He had no infection whatsoever. You were very, very fortunate. There is no damage at all other than the fact that you were aggravated. You explained to me why his misdeed is worth $5,000.
Well, I mean, I was upset for a while. I mean, I couldn't sleep. I mean,
You couldn't
he
sleep?
had pus coming out of it. That's why I
couldn't
took the
sleep?
pictures, and I have a police report.
No, show me a medical report that it was infected.
Actually, you know what? To be honest with you, I went to go try to get it, and at the same time, when I took him to the doctor, he was having an asthma attack at the same time, and the doctor she did look at it, and I went to try to get the paperwork from the doctor, and she told me
Don't tell me what she told you, that's hearsay.
Well, she didn't.
Don't tell me what she told you, that's hearsay. Miss Anthony,
Well-
you're not following me, madam. Not everything is a lawsuit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Did you demand money?
The courts told me to go ask her.
No. Don't tell me what the courts told you. The courts don't speak. You tell me how much money you demanded from them when you went into their shop.
And later today,
Did it make you nervous when you appeared before the other judges?
Not really.
But I scare you.
Yes, ma'am.
That is the only thing that's made my day today. The fact that I make you nervous enough to sweat.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Letitia Anthony claims store clerk Paulette Orozco pierced her teenage son's nose without her permission.
So what I'm saying to you is, what makes this non-injury to your son, who did the wrong thing? She didn't chase him in the mall with a piercing gun and pierce his nose.
No, she didn't.
He went in, listen to me, he went into her store. They did the wrong thing. They didn't follow protocol. You're absolutely entitled to say, you did the wrong thing, I want my money back, and I want you to pay me some sort of damages for the medical bill that I had as a result of this. But what makes you think this non-injury is worthy of a $5,000 lawsuit?
Well, I mean, she was wrong, and she lied and said he was 13. He was 14. It happened on his birthday. He had just turned 14.
Well, maybe he was slow and didn't remember.
Maybe so. I don't know.
That's
But-
not my question. What difference does it make whether he was 13 or 14 and it was his birthday? What makes it worth $5,000 is my question.
The negligence and the stupidity that they did. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, it was just uncalled for. But what I'm trying to explain to you is, yes, he probably was negligent. I mean, he went in a store just like you said. He did that. But, I mean, it comes a point in time, little kids at his age do certain things they're not supposed to. That is true. But, I mean, the way she talked to me when I went to go talk back with her after she did the piercing.
Well, what did you tell her?
I told her, I said, you pierced my son's nose. And she said, yeah, I did. I said, he's only 14. As a matter of fact, today is his birthday. He was 14 to that day that she did it.
I heard you. You don't have to repeat
And
yourself.
I talked to her and I said, well, why did you do that? She said, well, I told him to go. Something she was telling me, they was both
She was
talking.
telling you that she told him to go and get his mother. and you
No,
didn't
both
go.
of them was talking to me at the same time.
Good. What did you tell them?
I told them that I was going to take them to court because
Did you demand money?
the courts told me to go ask her.
No. Don't tell me what the courts told you. The courts don't speak. The courts don't speak. Judges speak. You weren't before a judge.
Yeah.
So courts don't speak. You tell me how much money you demanded from them when you went into their shop.
I went in there and I asked her, I believe it was $3,000, I believe.
$3,000.
Yeah.
You went in and asked for $3,000. What did she
Yes.
say to you?
She said, oh, no. She did. She said, I'll give you $5 back. And I said, $5 back? What did you give me $5 back for? Because I had gave her $35 for a chain that I had made for him for his birthday. And I paid her for his chain, for his name, and she gave me the receipt. Then she snatched the receipt back out of my hand, and I'm like, I need my receipt. And she was like, well, I'll apologize. She was real snotty to me.
Just a second. So you've been in that shop before.
I bought jewelry from her.
Why do you say that with an attitude, madam?
No, I didn't
asked
say with
you.
attitude.
I said to you, you've been in the shop before. The answer is yes.
Yes, I have.
How many times?
Maybe 2-3 times.
Has your son ever been in the shop with you?
Not with me, no.
So the first time you went in there, which was the same day that he had his nose pierced, you said you wanted $3,000.
No.
You told me, listen, Miss Anthony, you just said that you went in there and you said he's only 14, today's his birthday. You told me a moment ago that he went in there on his birthday. So it was the same day as he had his nose pierced.
Yes.
Anything else anybody wants to say to me? Yes, what is it?
Yeah.
It was actually, she came in and she initially asked for $7,000. And then she said, my mom said, oh, we don't have that kind of money.
Oh,
okay,
God, that is a lie.
I'll settle for $3,000.
He wasn't even there.
Well,
Sit down.
He wasn't
Sit down.
there, Your Honor.
I don't care if it's, listen to me, Miss Anthony, I don't care if it's $7,000 or $3,000.
God knows that.
I don't know where you're operating from, but your son had no injury whatsoever. They did the wrong thing. You're absolutely entitled to something for your aggravation and inconvenience. For your aggravation and inconvenience, you're entitled to $250. Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Actually, I'm really still kind of mad.
There's nothing we could do. We apologize to her.
They were in the wrong. I'm not here in the wrong.
Make sure the parents are there.
They're in the wrong. Point blank. Simple as that.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Tennant versus Holly. Step forward.
Carolyn Tennant is suing her son's friend, 22-year-old Jeffrey Holly, for stealing her golf cart and damaging it while driving drunk.
Miss Tennant, this young man was a friend of your son's?
Yes, ma'am.
You all went camping together?
Yes, ma'am.
And you had a golf cart that sort of takes you to and from, I guess,
Yeah.
a lake or shopping or whatever.
Well, it's like the major mode of transportation out there.
And other people have golf carts. Mr. Holly took your golf cart without your permission.
Correct.
And he was drunk.
Yes.
You agree with that?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
And he had an accident.
Yes.
Your golf cart was damaged.
Correct.
And the golf cart of the other people was damaged.
Yes, ma'am.
The other people sued you as the golf cart owner.
Yes.
Successfully.
Yes.
And you believe that Mr. Holly has the responsibility of compensating you for both that judgment
Yes.
and the damage to your golf cart.
Correct.
Mr. Holly says that it wasn't his fault.
Yes, ma'am.
And he should have been able to go to court and prove that. And since he didn't have that opportunity because you proceeded without him, he's not responsible. Did I identify your position, Mr. Holly?
Yes, ma'am, you did.
I have to find out a little bit about you, sir. Age.
Age 22.
Occupation.
Basement waterproofing and foundation wall rebuilds.
Number of times arrested.
Since I turned 18, 3 times.
For what?
Disorderly conduct, a malicious assault, and unauthorized use of heavy equipment.
Were you drinking during any one of those 3 arrests?
Yes, ma'am, the disorderly conduct.
Now, have you ever had convictions for any of those things?
Yes, ma'am.
Ever go to jail?
Yes, ma'am.
For how long?
I did 1 week and then I got out on a signature bond.
Are those cases over?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Holly, you and booze don't get along, sir.
Yes, I agree, ma'am.
You want to tell me what happened with Miss Tennant's golf cart?
Yes, ma'am, I do. That night, it was Memorial Weekend, you know, and there was a bunch of us out there together, and, you know, everybody being of age recently, we all decided, you know, we were going to get drunk and have a good time. They have dances at the bar and whatnot.
You know that you don't have a good time when you get drunk.
Yeah, I'm starting
You
to
really
realize
understand
that, ma'am.
that. You know, most of the time you don't remember. Most of the time you act stupid. Most of the time you get sick afterwards. You really have a much better time if you're sober. That doesn't mean you can't drink. That just means that you have a better time if you're not drunk. Right.
Yes, ma'am.
But you got drunk.
Yes, ma'am.
And?
And I decided to take the golf cart keys from the top of the fridge. So, I mean, I figured, you know, there was people driving it all day and most of the night. I figured, why not? You know, I mean, we were just going to go around the block and come right back. There was another golf cart passing filled with some people that lived down at the next camper down. And I thought they were going to stop, and I guess they thought I was going to stop, and it didn't work out that way.
So?
So I ran into the side of them. They proceeded to get off the golf cart and just completely make an enormous deal of it. I mean, they're golf carts. They don't go over 10 miles an hour.
Oh, they go faster in there.
And during all this, I mean, everything started getting out of control. People were yelling at each other. One of the ladies on the golf cart, her fiance, decided to sucker punch me. Then I was held from defending myself once I found out in that township I could legally defend myself once somebody put their hands on me. I was held from defending myself. And I mean, why couldn't I get any, you know, closure on that? Because I did make a police report on it, and I figured
You
not
wanted closure. Tell me how you wanted to get closure.
We were going to make a deal. My brother was going to give the guy $1,500 for his golf cart.
No. I'm talking about you wanted to get closure from being sucker punched, you said.
Yeah, either a chance to defend myself at that moment
You mean
in time
to
or...
punch him back? You wanted to punch him back?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were prohibited from doing that. How, sir?
Because Alan Reining grabbed me and basically pushed me backwards and bear hugged me and wouldn't let me.
Wouldn't let you punch him back?
Yes, ma'am.
And that would have given you closure?
Yes, ma'am.
You've been watching too many psychological programs that seem to be proliferating in daytime television, sir. Not everything gives you closure. You usually defer to the fact that you want closure when somebody in your family dies. You go and visit them, and you say, now I have closure. You know, I've seen them, I've said goodbye. Closure is not usually a thing that one refers to. Punching somebody back, that doesn't give you closure. Mr. Holly, you're a very polite young man. Do I make you nervous?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that why you're sweating?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Did it make you nervous when you appeared before the other judges?
Not really.
But I scare you.
Yes, ma'am.
That is a really, really good thing. I've not had a particularly good day today. That is the only thing that's made my day today. The fact that I make you nervous enough to sweat. You owe Mrs. Tennant money. You owe her the money that she spent or will spend to fix her golf cart. And you owe her the judgment that was entered against her for the accident you had when you took her golf cart without permission. Because if you go back, Mr. Holly, these are the objective facts. I'm not going to really scream and yell at you because you've been so polite. I'm going to say it easily so you can get my drift. A, you were drunk. You should never have gotten behind the wheel of any instrument that was moving because you weren't exercising good judgment. B, you got behind the wheel of it without permission. So in effect, you stole it. You had an accident. You're responsible to reimburse her for any out-of-pocket expenses that she had. And her out-of-pocket expenses were?
$1,782.50.
$1,782.
And 50 cents.
And 50 cents. That's your liability, Mr. Holly. That's your legal responsibility. And if you don't want to incur that kind of obligation, you're not supposed to get drunk and act stupid so that you really don't know what's going on. You're not supposed to take people's property without permission. You're not supposed to get behind something that goes even 10 miles an hour when you're drunk. All of those things you did. Just say, it's going to make you feel better and you're going to stop sweating. It's my fault.
Really,
it's
man,
my fault. I was drunk. I took your property. I caused you aggravation. I'm sorry. I will make you whole. And if you can't do that, Mr. Holly, I will. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,782.50. That's all.
Now, this is case number 403 on the calendar, the matter of Thompson versus Stubblefield. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Ms. Thompson, you and the defendant were roommates for a short period of time.
Yes.
And it didn't work out.
Correct.
The defendant left. You claim that she owes you some money for a deposit on the apartment, for some rent and utility bills. Ms. Stubblefield says she owes you nothing. She's counterclaiming. She said you had no right to kick her out of the apartment, and she has no intention of paying you for an apartment that she didn't live in. You knew each other before you moved in together, I assume?
Yes.
For how long?
We knew each other previously. We lost contact for about 2 years. We met again in March of 2006.
And you moved into an apartment together on a month-to-month tenancy, am I correct?
Yes.
You didn't sign a lease?
No.
So there was nothing that precluded either one of you from moving out?
Correct.
Is that right?
Right.
When did you move in?
I think at the beginning of September.
And what was the rent on the apartment, Miss Stubblefield?
I believe it was $695.
What do you mean you believe it was $695?
I never received a rental agreement.
Well, there was no rental agreement, madam. There was a month-to-month tenancy. There was nothing in writing, I assume.
We do have a copy of the rental agreement.
Oh, fine. Monthly rent was $625, and you were splitting that in half?
Yes.
Okay. Did you pay your September rent?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. When did you move out?
It was October 12th.
Is that right?
No, it's not.
When was it?
October 26th.
What makes you think it was the 12th of October?
Because
Ms.
it was 2 days after my paycheck on the 10th.
Well, let's say, for argument's sake, it was October the 12th, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Your rent was due 2 weeks before that. Did you pay October's rent?
I paid part of it.
When?
On the 25th of September.
What did you pay?
$250.
Show me.
She never gave me receipts.
Did you ask for one?
No, I did not.
Did she give you any rent towards October?
She gave me partial rent.
When?
On September 25th.
What'd she give you?
Let me just take a look here. I believe it was $320 that she gave me that day.
She said she gave you $250.
No, she did not.
So she gave you more?
Yes.
Her share of the rent was $312.
Mm-hmm.
So she had paid her October's rent.
Well, no, we had actually agreed that she was going to be splitting not only the rent, but the deposits as well. And because she did not have that money up front, I went ahead and paid for those deposits.
I see.
And she was paying me back, so she did not pay for her rent.
Okay, and what was the deposit?
The deposit was a total of $1,162, I believe.
You didn't pay the deposit, is that correct?
No, but I did pay her back. I paid a total of $500 to her.
For what?
For the deposits and for my part of the rent.
So far, you said you paid rent
Mm-hmm.
in September
Yes.
What did you give her for September's rent?
I gave her the 300 and something, I guess.
$312. And how much did you pay her towards the deposit in September?
I did not receive another paycheck until the time.
That's not what I asked you. I'm not asking you about your hardship. I'm asking you how much money you paid her towards the deposit.
None.
None. So that the $320 that you gave her on September 25th was for what?
For the rent and part of the deposit. That's what I thought it was for.
I don't care what you thought it was for.
She has actually paid me more money than she believes she paid me, Your Honor.
Perfect. How much did she pay you?
She paid me a total of $760 during the time that we lived together.
She sounds like an honest lady. Now, you want to tell me why you moved out.
When I first got in contact with her again, I was living with my baby's father, and it was not working out, so I asked him to see if I can come stay with her in her one-bedroom apartment with my son part-time, and she said...
What do you mean with your son part-time?
Well, I had him part-time.
You have joint custody?
Yes.
Legally?
No.
Go ahead.
And then after living there for about a month or two, we decided that we were going to go and get a place together.
Got it.
And then once we moved into there, that's when she started changing and being very controlling, and everything had to be her way. And I couldn't do anything the way that I wanted to. If I did something wrong, she would get mad at me. She wouldn't let me turn the heat on when it was cold. She would take light bulbs out of the lamps and hide them so I couldn't turn any lights on. She would also lock the bathroom door so I could not get into there. And I thought it was not a very good situation for me and my son to live there anymore.
When did the boyfriend start staying at the house regularly?
He wasn't there regularly.
Yes, he was.
No.
I didn't say live there. I said, when did he start staying there regularly?
We met at the beginning of October, I think.
So that's when he started staying there?
Yes.
Prior to that, was there any difficulty with the plaintiff?
Yes, there was.
What kind of difficulty?
Very controlling.
Go ahead.
I was not controlling of her, and I did not kick her out of the apartment. I don't have any legal right to do so. I did contact the police the day before she moved out on her own free will.
Don't tell me what she did. That's my judgment to make.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You contacted the police for a reason. When?
On October 25th.
What?
October 25th.
And she was
I have a
still there
copy of that
October
report.
25th?
Yes,
Fine.
she was.
She was still there. She didn't move out on October 12th.
No, she did
moved
not.
out on October 25th. Let me see the police report. 5th. There's a printout. You were still there on October 25th, according to this, locked yourself in your bedroom.
No, I locked myself in my bedroom.
You locked yourself in the bedroom?
Yes.
And the police responded?
Yes, they did.
Did you speak to them that night?
No, I was not there when there was police there.
Where did you go?
Went and stayed in a motel room because she kicked me out that night.
Well, tell me how she kicked you out.
Well, she came to my bedroom door that night around midnight and proceeded to yell and scream at me and saying that I owed her this much money, and I asked to see the bills. And she
What time was it?
I thought it was around midnight.
What time was it?
It was actually around 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
And I asked her to see if I could see the bills that she was talking about. She would not show them to me. And my boyfriend was behind the door.
This boyfriend?
Yes.
The one who stays over regularly?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Was standing behind the door so he could not see her. I was sitting on the bed covered up in sheets. And then I was done arguing because I didn't want to argue anymore with her because she was getting hysterical. And so I asked him to shut the door, and so he did.
Well, you hadn't paid any rent for the month of October.
Yes, I have.
No, you didn't. You can't pay both the deposit and the rent. You didn't pay that much money. Go ahead.
And so then we went out into the living room, and that's when she was going back and forth from the bathroom to her bedroom. And that's when she told me that we needed to leave right then and there because we broke the rental agreement.
How did she say you broke the rental agreement?
That is all she said to me, that I broke the rental agreement. And I told her no, because I had already put in my 30 days notice with the landlord.
Oh, when did you put in your 30 days notice?
It was earlier that month. I'm not exact on the day.
Well, you put it in October?
Yes.
But you didn't pay rent for October.
I wasn't going to until I was ready to.
Ah, that's right. So you didn't pay October's rent.
No.
So she was hysterical that you didn't pay October's rent.
Thank you.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I don't believe that's what I'm trying to testify to.
I don't care what you're trying to testify to. I asked you simple questions. So which one was it, a week or two?
I don't know. I'm not going to bother now.
All right, you're not going there.
And later today,
he was responsible and loving and gave you an opportunity to have a car, the car of your choice, and you blew it. Why are you mad at him?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jenny Lee Thompson claims former roommate Michelle Stubblefield owes for rent and bills.
Last name?
Last name Purvis, ma'am.
Where do you work, sir?
I'm a firefighter for Patrick National Corporation across the country.
How many nights a week did you spend at the defendant's home?
I think at that time it had been a total of 8 nights.
8 nights in the month of October, because that's when you met, right? You met the month. Listen to me very carefully, sir. You met sometime in the month of October. When in October?
I came back from fire on September 28th. I stay home for 2 weeks, so it had to have been the first, let's see,
Don't
third?
look at her, look at me.
I'm looking at her for confirmation. I think it was the 3rd or 4th of October.
That's when you met?
That's when we met.
Where did you meet?
We had a countryside. It's a rock and rodeo kind of place, kind of a bar, tavern type thing.
And when did you start staying over at her house?
Staying with her regularly?
No. When did you start staying over at her house, sir?
I believe it was like a week or two later that we met up.
Well, let's say a week or two later.
Yes,
let's
ma'am.
say a week later. So the October
About the
10th.
10th.
And she left, according to her, on the 12th.
Accordingly, sir.
But according to the police, it was the 20th.
And you know, that's
Fifth.
interesting, the whole police report, because I don't believe I've heard anything about that. And as my job as a firefighter, ma'am, I would be...
Listen to me.
Yes,
Listen to
ma'am.
me. 25th.
Yes, ma'am. 25th then.
So let's take your numbers. You have the 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th. You have 15 nights. And of the 15 nights, you were there one half the time. According to you, a little more than 55% of the time. Those are your numbers.
I understand what you're saying, ma'am. I don't believe that's what I'm trying to testify to.
I don't care what you're trying to testify to. I asked you simple questions. How many nights did you sleep there? You said 8. When did you start sleeping there? You told me on the 10th, because you met on the 3rd. You said maybe it was 2 weeks later. Well, if it was 2 weeks after you met, then you spent every night there. So which one was it, a week or 2?
I don't know. I'm not even going to bother.
All right, you're not going there.
Well, I'm
You
not
see
going to
where I'm
jump up
going,
and say
sir?
I'm wrong either.
You see where I'm going, sir?
Well, ma'am,
Oh.
may I test... May I...
No, I'm asking the questions.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm asking the questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Were you ever at the house where the defendant's child was there?
I was.
How often?
Maybe a day that he actually stayed the night there.
And when he stayed and spent the night there, did he stay in his own room?
No, ma'am. He has his own bed in her room.
And where did you stay?
In the room.
With her?
Yes, ma'am.
And how old is the child?
The child was, at the time, 16, 17 months.
Now, Mr. Purvis, you could briefly tell me what you want to say, sir, and say it because I have other fish to fry today.
Copy. The night in question, and when she told her to leave, and she did tell her to leave because she told both of us to leave, she had violated a roommate agreement or rental agreement, which I can't recall now because there's been 2 different things said. But I know that she asked us to leave, and she was acting very hysterical. And the time that I first started hanging out, I actually met her at the bar. I actually hit on Jen first. That's how I met her.
Listen to me. Listen to me.
Yes, ma'am.
You want to go through your social history? Go on,
It's
Jerry
not a social...
Springer.
I'm just
Listen
trying...
to me very carefully, sir. She did break the rental agreement. She didn't pay October's rent.
Copy.
That's breaking the rental agreement.
Copy.
This is the rental agreement. It says the two of them lived there. They were both supposed to pay rent. She didn't pay October's rent. Not only didn't she pay October's rent, but half the time you were there. Half the time in October, you were there. According to you. I didn't make that up. You gave me the information.
From midnight
So
to
not
8.
only, I don't care if it was midnight to 7 a.m., sir, you were there. So not only didn't she pay rent, but she had company and didn't pay rent. So she had right to be angry. And if she said, I want you to move out, she didn't have to leave.
That's not how she said it, ma'am.
I don't care if she says get out. You don't have to leave.
She threatened her, ma'am.
I don't care what she said, sir.
Okay.
The fact that she was afraid of being put out, and maybe you didn't want to be involved, maybe you should have gone to the place where you spend the other half
At
of
my house.
October. Fine. Listen, who else lives in your house?
I have 2 other roommates. I live on campus.
Good. Can't she come to stay with you?
Absolutely.
Great. Is that what you did?
Absolutely, when she doesn't have her kid.
No. Listen to me. She didn't have her kid that night of the 25th.
Oh, the 25th, no, ma'am.
Right?
Yeah.
Didn't have a child there the 25th.
Well...
So did she come and spend the night with
About
you?
the date, the 25th, but...
Did she come and spend the night with you?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
Because at that time, we have a roommate agreement, and we all have our own nights of the house. Because there's 3 people in a 2-bedroom apartment. So that night was not my night to be there.
Oh, so you had to find a girlfriend to
No, I don't.
Oh, I got it.
I have another home.
Oh, I got it now. Now, Mr. Purvis, when you left that night, where did you go?
To a motel.
You did?
Yes, ma'am.
You would have had to have gone someplace else to sleep anyway, Mr. Purvis, because you have a roommate agreement, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So I assume you paid for the motel.
I did.
Good. Now, the next night, you are allowed back in your room
Yeah, my place is fine.
because somebody else had to go find a girlfriend,
No.
right?
No.
Right? Did you take her back with you the second night?
She actually did stay with me a couple nights after that.
Great, terrific. So the first night you would have had to have paid for a motel room. This time you had a comfy roommate to spend it with because that's part of a counterclaim, which is nonsense. A, you didn't have to leave, Miss Stubblefield. When she told you to leave, if you'd paid your rent, you may have had difficulty, but you certainly would have had more of a case if you paid your rent. You can't keep yourself there, not only yourself, but yourself in company without paying. Anyway, are you still in the apartment?
Yes, I am.
Do you like it?
I love it.
Do you live by yourself?
Yes, I do.
Very smart.
Yes.
You're $395 and your counterclaim's dismissed. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Your
Or you are
Honor.
excused. You may step out.
Well, she kind of ruined it when she tried to control what I did and what I couldn't do.
In reality, she's very naive and ignorant.
Everything had to be her way.
And doesn't believe that she owes anybody anything.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Rios versus Mendez. Step forward, please.
24-year-old Lorena Rios is suing her uncle, Jesus Mendez, for the return of car payments on a 2006 Toyota Corolla. Lorena claims her uncle illegally repossessed the vehicle.
Mr. Mendez is your uncle. Is he your father's brother or your mother's brother?
My mom's brother.
There came a time when you wanted to buy a car, and you didn't have good enough credit to buy a car on your own. I assume that your mother didn't have good enough credit to help you out, so you went to your uncle, and you said, would you do me a favor and co-sign a loan for me? And because he probably loves his sister and cares for you, he said, I will do that for you, but these are the conditions. Right? Mm-hmm. And what were the conditions, Ms. Rios?
His conditions were pretty much for me not to let him down with the payments. So
he gave you specifics, not just to not let him down. He gave you specifics. And what were the specifics?
That I made my payments on time.
And what was on time?
On time? Well, pretty much...
No, look at me. You had an agreement with him to make payment on a specific date every month. Mm-hmm. What was that date?
They told me...
That day.
The 21st.
That's not what you say in here. Here you say the 18th of the month in your complaint.
The 18th of the due date.
No. Granted, there were a few months when I paid him past our agreed date of the 18th of the month. Not the 21st, the 18th. Now, you didn't pay all the time on the 18th of the month. And when I say pay your uncle. Because then your uncle had to pay the bank. And on what date was the payment due at the bank?
The 19th, Your Honor.
The 19th?
The 19th of every month.
It was probably later, sir, because I can't imagine you making the same date with her to pay as was due at the bank. Why don't you stand up and help him, please? Are you his wife?
I am his wife.
Okay. Who takes care of the paperwork?
I do.
I figured.
She's the boss.
What was the due date on the loan?
The due date on the loan was at the 19th, and we have 10 days of a grace period.
Stand there in case I need you again, would you please?
Not a problem.
So, Ms. Rios, you didn't make your payments all the time on time, and your uncle was getting on your case.
Right.
So you called the bank yourself, and they told you at the bank, well, your payments weren't late. You know, your payments were on time because they had a 10-day grace period, right?
Right.
So you said to them, why are you bothering me? Payments aren't due till the 29th of the month. Why are you bothering me? Because I made the payments on the 22nd, the 23rd, the 24th, the 25th. You have 10 days, right?
Right.
And finally, he got fed up and he took your car.
Right.
So you want him to pay you for all the money you put into the car for the 10 or 11 months that you had it.
Yeah.
Wrong. Wrong.
Or at least give me the car back.
No, it's not going to give you the car.